Let's go.
What a lovely day!
Andy, there's a whole world out there. Jump in.
Can you dig it?
Yeah.
You must always pay strict attention.
I was just completely enamored by it the entire time.
Dude, he did not have to go that hard.
I know, man. Isn't it wild?
TheJaredcast.
So it begins.
What up, ladies and gentlemen and gentlemen's? What's up? We are here today at the Jaredcast. My name is Jared A. With me is Jared L. And today we are expanding our domains into anime. Talking about Jujutsu Kaisen season 1, which I'm very excited about. It was one of my favorites of 2020/2021. But this is Jared's first time watching a shonen anime, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't really know the definition of a shonen anime, but
like,
I don't think Cowboy Bebop is one, so we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. But how you doing today, Jared? What's up with you?
I'm doing okay. It's been a long fucking week, but we're on the final stretch before I get one day off.
Yeah.
So we're good. I'm excited. I get to talk to you about some shit. Get to talk to Renato about some shit later. So we're having a good day. It's going to be a good time. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. I'm very excited to see Steve-O's live show in a few hours. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that goes. I'll debrief next week.
I'm very excited. The next week we're just going to review Steve-O's live show that I haven't seen.
It'll probably be so gnarly that I'll throw up just talking about it.
And I'm excited for you.
Yeah, man. This was a fun one because it's been a while since we've done TV. We haven't done it in a few months, so it'll be good to get back into it for just a bit. But yeah. Top 5. We have a top 5.
I was like, are you waiting for me to segue, or is this it? Are we mid segue? Are our feet off the ground and wheels are moving?
Oh man. No, I just I'm a little spaced out today. Sorry guys. But we got a top 5. It's fun.
Yeah, we do. Super relevant to the anime we're watching. Because both mention food. the anime talks about sushi a lot. I don't know. We're not talking about sushi though. We're talking about sandwiches. Maybe you got a Japanese sandwich on your list. Spoiler, I don't. I'm excited. Top 5 favorite sandwiches. You know we're both food lovers on this podcast. It comes up pretty much every episode. Inevitably, we're going to talk about movies and food. And that's the guarantees here at the Jaredcast. Why don't you kick us off with your 5th favorite sandwich in the world?
My 5th favorite sandwich is a very interesting one. I still haven't found like the best version of it. But I've seen like pictures and videos of like other people's like
it's out there.
I know it's out there. But for some reason, every time I go to a place, it's like, this isn't as good as the picture that I saw on the internet once. But yeah, a Monte Cristo sandwich. For those who don't know, it is a ham and Swiss specifically, sandwich, deep fried in egg, coated in an egg batter, deep fried, and then sprinkled with powdered sugar and syrup. It is absolutely bonkers. It's even though it's named after a French man of vengeance. It's the most American thing I've ever heard of. I do like the one at Cantor's Deli. It's double stacked like it should be. So, by the way, it's a double ham and cheese sandwich, but it's not breaded all the way. It's only breaded on the flat sides.
That's annoying.
Yeah, it's like a French toast basically. But and that's most of the Monte Cristos that I've come across. I've never come across one that's like entirely breaded, which is what I'm looking for. But I know it's out there. It's my Moby Dick. It's my white whale. It will be the death of me. But Monte Cristo sandwich is still my number 5.
There you go. I've never had one. I've seen the pictures. I've seen the perfect Monte Cristo, the famous, the infamous Monte Cristos. But I've never had one. I kind of die on the hill of ham is just a bad meat in general. It's not like I'm not like I'll eat it if it's on a plate, but it's as terms of like deli meats and all meats, I'm just like I can skip the ham. And so I've never really sought it out, but it does look good and it sounds good, and so I'll take your word for it.
Hell yeah. What's your number 5?
Oh, I'd love to tell you. My number 5 is a different deli meat, roast beef. Typically,
Ooh.
I think you can kind of shake it up a bit. One problem with bad sandwiches have a lot of variance. This list, like any of them, depending on where you go, could just like fluctuate like a motherfucker. But one problem with a lot of sandwiches that are not good is they can be dry. You can have a dry sandwich. So this sandwich negates that entirely. And I'm talking French dip. Get a little au jus, get a French roll, roast beef, honestly all you need, Swiss cheese, onions, everything else is just added bonus. It's fucking delicious, man. This was like my first favorite sandwich in high school. I went to Orlando and had the best one that I've ever had, and I'm still thinking about it to this day. And it's just stuck with me, man. I'm always down for a French dip sandwich.
Indeed. I'm very glad you had it on your list because I was sad to cut it from mine. I've also had it with like Havarti cheese, so it's like extra creamy. It's very nice.
I'm here for it.
My number 4 goes a little bit further east than Orlando.
Sorry to interrupt. I think my dogs heard you last episode when they're like, I kind of like it when they bark because they're losing it right now.
I can hear it.
Literally every time we hit record, they just start going off.
Oh my god. Maybe there's like some weird frequency from the thing. I don't know.
Maybe I'm getting broken into. What's your number 4?
It's all good. My number 4 is not really like a sandwich that gets stacked. It's folded. Borderline. It's a little bit. It's not quite a taco, but because of the heft of the material, and because of the loaded aspect of it, I gotta go with the Euro sandwiches from Greece, not ancient Greece, but modern Greece.
They might have been there too.
They might have been there, but yeah, I love Euro meat. I think it's just a magical thing. So beautiful, so salty, so black peppery. And I love the addition of tomatoes and red onions and feta cheese and dipping all that in the whatever their white sauce thing is called. Oh my god, it's awesome.
Tzatziki?
Maybe.
I think it's usually tzatziki. I don't know.
Yeah. I barely know how to pronounce Euro. But yeah, man, I love Greek food. I love that style of a sandwich where it's a folded thing. And hell yeah.
Yeah. I was like, either he's going like Euro or like maybe the falafel route. But once you said folded, I was like, I think I know the direction this is headed.
Yeah.
A great choice. I negated folded sandwiches. And I mean, I still think it misses my top 5 with them included. But it's a fantastic pick. I fuck up a gyro.
Yes.
You know what else I fuck with? Some barbecue. And I think the king in that department, far and away for sandwiches, and honestly, kind of in general, it's got to be pulled pork. I think you can't go wrong with some pulled pork. And a pulled pork sandwich, to die for, dude. Get some slaw on that. And it's such a great canvas. You could put whatever you want. You could be throwing pickles, some jalapenos, a lot of onion if you're feeling wild. No matter what, it's always a good time. And if you do pulled pork right, literally just that and bread, and I'm still sold. Like, that's a good sandwich right there.
Yeah. I totally agree, man. I totally agree. I'm less likely to put the slaw in the sandwich. I like it better on the side, but pickles for sure in that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so good.
You got
Mine is my number 3 is a little bit more simple. It's a lot more simple actually than pork and bread, because it's cheese and bread. Old Faithful, the grilled cheese, the magnificent 5-minute sandwich that never fails, no matter what kind of cheese, no matter what kind of bread. I like it on sourdough. I also like it on brioche. I also like it on challah. I like really thick breads, really hearty breads, and I like really like potent cheeses, like very sharp cheddar, or maybe even something even stinkier. But yeah, man, a grilled cheese, like I like, we talked a little bit about it when we did the chef episode, but the amount of the amount of passion that he put into a grilled cheese for his son is one of the best moments in cinematic history. And so I gotta go grilled cheese, not just because of that, but just because it's been there my whole life.
Yeah, dude. You can't go wrong with a grilled cheese. I made maybe the best grilled cheese actually, not maybe. It was the best grilled cheese I've ever made. We have like cook-offs, me and the woman. And we'll like invite people over to like judge the competition and shit. Like, we go hard. We spend all day cooking and stuff.
That's awesome.
But we randomly drew categories, and I got gourmet grilled cheese. And so let me paint you this picture. The bread was what was it? It wasn't challah bread. It was some bougie ass bread. I don't remember what it was called. It's not coming to me. But the inside was aged cheddar, truffle flavored. I think truffle flavored cheddar, some Gruyere, and then just like some other extra bougie filler cheese that I could snag. And then I made homemade mac and cheese, and I threw that bitch on there with some peppered bacon, and ooh, fucking demolished, dude.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Hella
gotta
good.
have some of that. Gotta have some.
Yeah, it was like, our judges are like still saying like, I'll pay you to make that for me, because it was killer. Highly recommend. So great pick. My number 3 is another great staple of this country. Maybe the most American sandwich, potentially. That's a Philly cheesesteak.
Ooh.
It's just a good old classic Americana right there, dude.
Yeah.
Get yourself a hoagie, some nice steak, cheese. I like provolone on it, but go crazy. You could throw anything on there.
Yeah.
Peppers, onions, jalapeno, pickles if you want. And it's good, man. That soft roll with the meat juices is just perfection. I also started making these recently, and I've been kind of killing it. Not gonna lie, I'm tooting my own horn a lot this episode, but hey, when food's involved, you gotta.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah. Have you ever had one from Philly? Like in Philly?
No, I've never been to Philly.
It's I kind of like it better not authentic, because the authentic way is to use Cheese Whiz.
Oh. Yeah, no thanks.
Like, so, like, it's good. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's good. You could eat it all day, but I don't know. I just like extra cheeses, like being cheesy. You know, I don't need the
dude.
cheese whiz. That's just my hot take. I don't know. Sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna pause for a second and try to get them to shut up because it's getting too much.
No worries.
We'll see if that works.
I heard them stop as soon as you closed the door.
Yeah. I think they thought they were alone or something. I literally opened it. I was like, shut up. And like threw a ball and then just came in.
Yeah. That'll work.
Yeah.
Kids
Anyway,
these
tell
days
me your
need
other
discipline.
hot takes. Yeah.
Yeah, my hot take is my number 2. I think this one is superior to I think this spicy chicken sandwich is superior to all the spicy chicken sandwiches I've had from a restaurant that prides itself on being the original and being the best. I think, you know, the Chick-fil-A spicy chicken sandwich is a great sandwich. I think it's good. I think it's you know, small enough that you can eat multiple. However, the Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich is the best fast food chicken sandwich I've ever had. I think the generosity of the pickles is better. The breading is so crispy. No matter what condition the restaurant is in, I know the sandwich is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
I don't care about the service. I worked at a Chick-fil-A. Like, I don't give a shit that they're nicer.
Yeah. Honestly, hot take. I kind of hate the my pleasure thing. I've stopped saying thank you just because I'm like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, man. They still say it when you don't say thank you.
I know. I've started a new thing where if I'm at Chick-fil-A, I try to get them to say thank you. Like I'll compliment them or something, and then I say my pleasure and I drive away.
Oh man,
It's the little things that bring me joy.
Yeah, man. I have nothing against that sandwich. It's just a tenth of the amazingness that is the Popeye spicy chicken sandwich. The sauce, the breading, the bread itself is spongy. It's thick. It's nice. It catches all the sauce. It catches all the heat and keeps it contained. Yeah, Popeye spicy chicken sandwich. The only specific brand sandwich on my list is on the list for a reason.
Yeah, and a damn good one. I'm a slut for a spicy deluxe at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think the quality of Popeyes is just a little bit higher, and so I respect it. Good pick.
Yeah.
I almost put the Chick-fil-A's spicy deluxe on the list, but I put a fraction of a second more thought, and I was like, nah, I got to go French dip.
Yeah.
My number 2 is an unprecedented moment in time on the Jaredcast. Because it is a duplicate answer that I didn't give away immediately when you took my answer, and that's a grilled cheese.
Hey.
It's just too good, man. It's too adaptable. You can like kind of mold it to your own taste just by like different cheeses, let alone other toppings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a damn good time all around. I kind of blew my load already when you mentioned grilled cheese, but it's my number 2. I love a grilled cheese.
Hell yeah. You gotta let me know what bread you used for that.
I know.
recipe.
I'll try to remember because it was real good. It was like a softer bread too, which worked for getting a nice outer crisp, but like keeping the structural integrity of the sandwich.
Was it pretzel?
No, it was. Fuck. I'm gonna straight up Google types of bread just because I know know it when I see it, and it's gonna bother me.
We don't have to now. We don't have to.
No, you've set me off again. I tried passing on it, and then
I'm like, this will definitely be a less than 20-minute top 5. And it is not.
no. Oh, was it? It might have been ciabatta. I think it was ciabatta.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was ciabatta.
How do you fry the round part? Did you just cut it so it's flat?
Yeah, it was just sliced.
Okay,
So
cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very
Good
nice.
stuff.
Very nice. Awesome. My number 1 is classically served on rye. But you can do whatever you want with it as well. But I like rye on this one specifically. We talked a lot about deli meats. We talked a lot about loving deli meats and deli sandwiches. I think this is the undisputed king in my heart specifically. It is the pastrami Reuben. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. The acidity that comes from the Thousand Island and the sauerkraut and maybe the pickle, whatever you decide to throw in it, whatever else you decide to throw in there. You don't need a pickle, but Thousand Island, sauerkraut, and pastrami, a shit ton of pastrami. I love when people just dump a bunch of pastrami in there.
Anytime a pastrami's on a sandwich, you gotta just dump it.
Yeah, it's so good. I love this sandwich. Even from like chains, like restaurant, like they're like they still somehow manage to nail it. It just always hits the spot. It's my go-to every time I'm testing out a new place that calls itself a deli. Yeah, man, love pastrami Reubens.
Yeah, I mean it's a fantastic one. I think it's a popular option for a damn good reason because it is a goddamn classic.
Yeah,
when I worked at a froyo place, we were next door to a sandwich shop, and I would have that every single day. And then I got sick of it and haven't had it since. And so that's why it's not making an appearance.
Nice.
But my undisputed sandwich king is gotta be this one. I'm surprised it didn't make your list. I thought for sure it would show up, just because it seems up your alley. And I am talking the king of sandwiches, the pinnacle of bread with filling in it, and that is the banh mi.
Ooh,
Big banh mi fan over here.
Nice.
For uninitiated for some reason. First off, try it. Second off, you get delicious, like almost French baguette style bread, but I think it's like banh mi refers to the bread, so it's like its own type of bread.
Yeah.
But pickled veggies, cilantro, usually a pork filling. They're pretty loose on the meat, surprisingly. Sometimes there's a place here that gives you a little side of pho broth to dip it into.
Oh my god!
And that is just a great move. That is a dream come true right there. Yeah, dude, I'm a slut for a banh mi. I will clown on a banh mi any day of the banh week.
That's a great choice. I just straight up didn't even think about banh mi. That's awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Ugh, I finally got one by. Feels good.
Oh man.
Were there any runners up you want to mention before we spend the whole episode talking about sandwiches?
Oh man. There was one that I just thought of that I was like, I cut the locks on a bagel because it's open faced.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you could have it closed faced.
You could, but
you're a freak.
No. Yeah. What was it that I just thought of it? It was like, I don't know. Oh,
ciabatta.
the freaking just the Italian sub at Jersey Mike's, but get it Mike's way. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's mainstream, but like I get it like at least twice a month.
Yeah.
So, it's a classic.
Yeah, absolutely. even more narrowly missing my list than the spicy deluxe was, I don't know what it's called because I've only had it in Florence, which sounds very bougie as fuck. But we had it was focaccia with any meat, like it was just like array of deli meat and like pesto and spinach, tomato, and just hella cheese, and it's like fucking huge, and they just give you a whole like basically baguette of focaccia just in a sandwich, and it was amazing. I dream about it sometimes.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I love that you're that guy now. Back when I was in Italy.
back in Florence. Just wait till I travel more, dude. I'm gonna be insufferable soon.
As long as you don't say España, we're good.
I'm gonna. You know I'm gonna.
As long as you don't say Ibiza, we're good.
Beat that. Oh, anyway, is it time for some anime?
It is. It is.
It is not, because it's time for Jared Reed's poorly written reviews of movies that we're watching or anime that we're watching, because it's funny. It makes me laugh and stuff. I'm honestly surprised at the consistency of that title. Like, I started out a little rocky, but now I kind of nail it every time.
Yeah.
This one was kind of disappointing because there's not a lot of reviews for this show on IMDb or any other site, because there's not a lot of review sites for anime that I'm aware of. And also everybody loves this show, so it was even harder to find a bad one. But this one comes from Mid Hater, who gave it a 5 out of 10, saying Jujutsu Kaisen mid. It's trying way too hard. But it's a short and sweet one. This show wasn't great, but I wasn't bad. The characters are good, but the fight scenes are lackluster. Yuji Itadori, more like Yuji Itadori D's. Anyways, Among Us.
What?
Even when there's no reviews, I find a decent one.
Wait, was he just writing and then he was like, wait, let me go back to playing Among Us? Is that what's going on?
He just says, anyways, Among Us. And I think he's just trying way too hard.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Because his name on here was Mid Hater. And so I looked back, I was like, does this guy just give everything a 5 out of 10 and shit on it? Because that'd be hilarious. But he only had one review. So I guess technically he's 1 for 1. But
Damn.
But yeah.
Hell to the yeah. Yeah, man, there's a reason why there are so many great reviews for this show. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I think it's so basically it's so far just 25 episodes. There is season 2. It's coming out in winter 2023. And there's a movie coming out next week. We are recording on Friday the 11th, and the movie's coming out in 7 days. We're very excited to review that. But yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen follows.
This whole episode is going to be dogs barking.
They good?
I'm gonna.
Okay,
I'm
no worries.
sorry.
No, don't worry. Don't worry.
I should buy us another 45 seconds.
Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen follows a young man named Yuji Itadori who mysteriously is gifted with superhuman strength and superhuman speed, and he gets kind of very suddenly swallowed up by this world of Jujutsu sorcery, and trains to become a sorcerer under a mysterious, annoying and funny dude named Gojo. He makes friends like Megumi Fushiguro, who is kind of an emo boy, and Nobara Kugasaki, who is a girl from the countryside who's very full of herself. Yuji and his friends, or Itadori and his friends, learn more about themselves. They learn more about how to defeat cursed spirits, and they meet several challenges and several allies along the way. And all the while, there is a mysterious force of intelligent curses, intelligent spirits who are plotting to take over the world. This movie is a shonen anime. For those who don't know, that means that it's just targeted towards adolescent boys. Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach are like the big four of shonen anime, and then nowadays everybody's crazy about My Hero Academia. They're crazy about Demon Slayer, and they're crazy about this show, even though it's brand new. And yeah, I love this show. I think it's a really effortless blend of fantasy, horror, comedy, and action. But I'm even more curious to hear what Jared thinks, because he is he's dipping his toe into anime TV, and I'm very excited.
I'm weeb light. Did you give a score? Are we doing out of 10?
I can. I wanted to hear your score first, but it's all good. My score is let's see. There's a lot to love about. I think from a technical standpoint, it's basically perfect. I think from a writing standpoint, it's a little weird sometimes, but overall, I'll give it an 8.5. I think it's a fantastic television series, a great first season. I have read ahead in the manga, so I know what's coming in season 2 and season 3, and I'm even more excited for those. But yeah, what did you think?
I liked it. I thought it was a good time. I was thoroughly entertained throughout. The animation is amazing. You hyped up the action and the fight scenes, and I think for good reason. They're pretty flawlessly executed, and you could see like all the effort that went into them. Like you could tell they're like, we're gonna try to go extra hard for the action on this, and I think it pays off. I think it's gorgeous to look at. The show is pretty endlessly creative too. It'll throw shit at you that you wouldn't think could be pulled off, but it does. A lot of the villains that pop up, it is kind of like here's the bad guy this week type of format, which I think drags on, but at least when you're binge watching it. If I were to watch this like every week, I'd probably be more hyped on that structure. But the antagonists they bring in are always like interesting, or the way they go about fighting them is interesting. So it doesn't like drag on or feel stale, which I thought it might. It was pretty consistently good at that. Some of the writing I was kind of iffy on. They do some things that I absolutely despised, like the almost every big fight they do this, but they'll do their technique and then explain the whole technique just blatantly, because it's like, and they'll justify it by like, oh, because I've explained my technique, it's more effective on the other person. And I'm just like, this is just don't like let the audience try to like figure it out. You're already throwing us in this fantastical world. Like you don't need to be that upfront about it. But that was one of the few qualms I had with it. I think it's a very tight show, even if some of the structural things kind of wore me down slightly. I like that it's not super fan servicey. There's not. I mean, apart from some of the stuff with Togo, is it Toto?
Toto. Yeah.
Some of the stuff with him is a little fan servicey for sure, but it's light enough that it's like it doesn't feel egregious. I'm not like feeling like I'm watching something that's like exploitative or anything like that. So I like that they kind of toned it down, especially if their target demo is teenage boys. I appreciated that. And you also, on top of that, have some great, strong female characters too. Like some of the most badass motherfuckers in here are women, and I loved that because not watching anime, I have a innate bias that just doesn't exist in anime, even though I have almost nothing to base that off of. But it was cool to see. It was very unique, at least in terms of what I'm used to. This could be ripping off every other anime in the world, and I kind of wouldn't know. But in terms of what I've seen in Western films, even Eastern films, even anime films, it was different, and I liked that. They take kind of familiar stuff like the supernatural, the blending of genres, a lot of the stylistic things, but it keeps it fresh, it keeps it interesting, and I was a big fan. I give it a 7.5. I do think that like it does struggle at moments, and I think the end of the season really fizzled out. I think the last like 3-episode arc with the bridge, I just didn't really care. Like I think they kind of lost steam, but it was still cool to see, and I think you get some interesting character development in that. And I'm excited to see where it goes if I remember to watch the next season whenever it comes out. But yeah, overall it was a pretty positive experience. I liked it.
Yeah, I agree mostly. The thing about explaining techniques, like that's just something that's in anime. And it's more about like the competing strategy. And I think it's something that became really popular with like One Piece and Dragon Ball Z and all that stuff. And they've kind of just kept on continuing it. It's a way to stretch out the fights and like make the fights and make the conflicts more focused on character growth. Because you see someone working out a problem in the middle of like in the middle of throwing a punch. I think, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, there were like 2 instances where they would explain things, and like half of them I really liked. When it was like an internal monologue, and they're like, "Oh, he's doing this, so I have to like adjust this maneuver and shit like that." I liked that. I was like, "There's actually like strategy happening here." It was when the opponent would explain it to the person they're fighting.
Okay.
Why would you do that? Like one of the last battles with where he's like, it's not poison, but it's like poison. And then they end up winning because they're like, well, if it's poison, like he's immune, so whatever. And you probably would have won if you didn't explain everything. Like it's just, I don't know. It feels lame when it's like outwardly to another character.
Yeah, I agree with that fight. With the one with Toto, I think he explains the basic rules to confuse the Hanami, the curse, because Hanami's like trying to figure out the vague rules that he set while she's getting punched in the face, or he's getting punched in the face.
That one I'm okay with, and it kind of justifies some of the previous uses because it's almost like a setup punchline kind of thing where they subvert it. But I don't think it fully forgives it for me.
Okay, that's fair, and that's totally fair. Like, different flavors, different people. For the last 3 episodes, I half agreed because I felt that when I was watching it weekly, and I was like, when it first came out a couple years ago, like I was like, what are they doing, man? Like the baseball was like a perfect ending. Like,
like the Sister School Battle Saga arc is the perfect like season finale, and they're just like, and here's a couple more.
Well, I think what's nice about the bridge arc and is it like because they're not bad episodes. I just think they would be better as a beginning to season 2. Because what you have is all three of Gojo's first year students, Megumi Nobara and Megumi Kugasaki and Itadori, they all kind of come full circle, right? So Itadori has kind of had to reconcile the fact that, yeah, I have to kill people sometimes, even though that's not what my calling is. And Kugasaki learns how to use Black Flash, which is awesome. And then Megumi learns how to use domain expansion, which is the height of Jujutsu Kaisen, and will escalate the conflicts going forward. So I like that all three of them kind of go full circle in their things, and then it sets up what's happening right now in the manga, actually, with Megumi's sister. But like tonally, I think you're right. I think it just feels like it's fizzling out. I feel like it's not really it would fit better in season 2 versus right now. I do like the fights in there though, and I like just how utterly psycho Kugasaki is. Like, she's just throwing nails into her own arm. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, like her in that fight especially. I was like, okay, like I'm still having a good time, but like it's just such a weird switch in pace. That it's like, it just feels like they had a contract for another 3 episodes. They're like, well, fuck, let's just do this bridge arc and call it good.
Yeah, I feel the same way. But yeah, we can talk about. I know you talked about loving a lot of the female characters in here. Why don't we just talk about our favorite characters in general and go from there?
Yeah, let's do it. I can kick things off because I have a love-hate relationship with one character in particular, and so I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And that's Gojo. I think Gojo's the fucking man. I love him. I think he's crazy entertaining, and all fights with him are awesome. However, I think he's just too strong. Like, he's just too invincible that, like, about halfway through, there's a pretty distinct line too where they're like, all right, we got to stop letting him fight things because it's just too easy. They literally have a whole like plot point where it's like, oh, only he has to stay out of this area. And I'm like, okay, now it's just getting a little too on the nose about it. And I do like that, like, in the world, everybody kind of knows he's a little overpowered. But I think it hurts the show a little. I think he's just a little too strong that you never fear if he's in the area, because you know he's just gonna kind of fuck everything up. And so, as like a character and a person, I thought he was fantastic. I'm a big fan, and I would love if he was in every single episode. But like, from a plot point, his presence just kind of throws any tension out of the window, honestly.
I feel it. I think that's what's going to make season 2 like great, because a big part of the story going forward, I'm going to try not to spoil anything, is them kind of outsmarting Gojo and making, like they mention it briefly, like the first thing we got to do is make him, we can't kill him, but we can make him incapable of fighting. And so I won't say whether or not they succeed, but you do see a difference in the world without with that. So it's just, I think it's just because this show is all about this season is mostly about like growth, about personal growth. I think that needs to happen under the comfort of Itadori's teachers, under the comfort of Nanami, under the comfort of Gojo, and so, as the world gets bigger, as the bad guys get more dangerous, because they're all going to get upgrades, not just the good guys. As the bad guys get more dangerous, as the world gets bigger, that comfort and that thing is slowly going to be shed.
Yeah, because once they're like, oh, I can create infinite space between us and you literally can never touch me with anything, I'm like, okay, so like, why are we here? Like, cool, so let's just go home, pack it up. You could just kill anyone you wanted.
Yeah. I still enjoy that though, because it's like it's just badass for the sake of badass.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like that's why I'm conflicted, because I do love him and I love that he's just like, hey, like hold my hand. It's just a badass move.
Yeah. I agree. I agree.
I'm glad they address it though. I appreciate when the writers are like aware enough that like, all right, we kind of have an issue with this. Let's do something about it.
Yeah. And we'll also, I don't know if it's going to be in season 2, but we'll also see a prequel of like Gojo when he's less powerful.
Cool.
So it's pretty cool, especially when you get a sense of like the whole person and kind of what his power actually is. Other favorite characters?
I'm trying to focus on the characters other than Itadori, because he's a little too mainstream for this right now. I do really like Panda. I think Panda's fucking awesome. A great comic relief character who doesn't feel like kind of just forced in. His fight with Mekamaru, I think. Yeah. Okay, I thought I'd be worse at the names for this, but I'm kind of doing okay so far.
You're doing great.
But I thought that was fantastic. How he's like, I thought we were going to be the same. Why do you hate me? Was awesome. I did think it was a bit much when he revealed that he's actually 3 animals and can turn into some weird gorilla hybrid. I was like, okay, we're leaning a little too far into that direction. But like, I think that's just because I'm not accustomed to like anime being like over the top, which in general kind of cause some moments. Like there's some moments of this where they get a little too weeby for my liking, when it just goes like full Yu-Gi-Oh mode where it's like he has to do this and then it activates my I'm just like, okay, like we're just gonna move on. So besides that, I loved Panda. I thought he was fantastic. He was a great little comic relief.
My favorite Panda moment is when he picks up the wounded Maki and the wounded Megumi, and he's like, Pandash! And he sprints away.
I think mine is even though it's like a little too like kind of on the nose, but when they're like, oh, are you a cat or a dog person? He's like, I'm a panda person. Fuck you. I still laughed my ass off, and I was like, you created this whole segment just to do that.
I love it. I love that this show has like freaking old dudes with electric guitars. It goes like every time you think it's gonna go one way, it just goes an even crazier way. And then on top of all of that, they have a kung fu panda in the middle of it. It's great.
Yeah. What about you? Who are some of yours?
Oh man, like Megumi definitely grew on me on the second watch for sure, because I kind of thought he was like another Sasuke. When I was watching it, like another emo kid with daddy issues, and he's gonna be extra powerful and he's gonna fight the main hero. But I really love the way his journey follows, or the way we follow his journey in this season especially. And I love the question at the heart of it, like what is Sukuna's plan for Megumi? I think it's such a great like source of suspense all the way through, and it still hasn't been revealed, not even to me, and I'm like 3 seasons ahead, or I'm like 2 seasons ahead, and like it's really, really cool and interesting to know that this character is destined for something bad, but you still root for him. You like the thing with his sister, I think, is really, really heartbreaking. And I love that, like, you know, you have 3 goofballs in your group, like, and he's just constantly at their mercy for gags and stuff. I think that's awesome. Did you watch the post credits things?
Most of them, yeah.
Okay.
Because once I like caught on that there were some, I just usually let it run until like maybe the last couple, because I was like, oh fuck, like I gotta really really binge through this.
Yeah. Did you see the one where they're like, Megumi's hitting on someone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, that's the best one. That's my favorite one. Yeah, I love his. I also just love him in the middle of an ensemble. He works well with the second years, with Maki especially, and with and as well as with his own group. But I think my favorites are definitely. I think my favorite is actually Maki. I think she's awesome. Like, you know, girls with glasses are generally just awesome in my brain, but
You're just wired that way.
I'm just wired that way. But no, I actually really like that. Like, okay, this idea of heavenly restriction, like instead of getting the power to manipulate cursed energy, you're getting superhuman strength. Like that's awesome. And she catching a bullet in midair. I love that she's like
Yeah,
arrogant.
that was fucking badass.
So good, so good. And I love that she's like arrogant, but like you realize like, oh, this is justified. Like she's grade 4, but she actually deserves to be grade 1. And like I just reread chapter 150, which is like she gets a hard upgrade, dude. It's insane.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty awesome. And yeah, like I love the conflict between her and her sister. We only get a little bit of it here in season 1, but I think it's enough. I think the idea that, you know, when a bad thing happens, when something good happens for one twin, something bad happens for the other, and I think that that's just so powerful. That's so sad, and it's so interesting, and I'm glad that they took time to do a whole episode on it, or basically a whole, or like half an episode on it. I also really love Toto. I think he's so ridiculous and funny.
Yeah.
Every time I hear someone even mentioning Toto, my best friendo. I just love him. When he like cries tears of joy when he says, "I like a tall woman with a big ass like Jennifer Lawrence." Like,
Yeah, his whole shtick that like if you don't like the exact same women as him, he's gonna beat the living fuck out of you. Is hilarious. It was kind of off-putting at first because I thought it was gonna go into, because the first time they introduce it, there's like a 5-10 second montage of like all these like anime waifus, and I was like, okay, is it gonna be this every time he's on screen? But I slowly just loved him more and more every single episode.
yeah, he's awesome. And someone took that montage of him clapping, and they cut it with what's the Justin Timberlake song? It's like you're my mirror, my mirror staring back at me.
That's pretty fucking great.
It's awesome. Yeah, so I would say for this watch, those were my 3. I also love Gojo as well. Gojo is he's just daddy. Like,
Yeah.
I love that he, like, the fandom has sexualized him more than any of the women.
Right. I thought it'd be Toto, honestly.
Yeah. Everybody's
yeah.
thirsty for Gojo and for Sukuna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. Toto has my favorite visual bit in the whole show. When they have like the lower third in the baseball episode, and it says won an all-star tournament with Yuji Todora, but Yuji denies it or something. I just thought it was funny. It was just a great double down on an established joke that I think worked out.
Yeah. Or when Maki straight up hits him in the face with a baseball.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, and Maki has my favorite backstory, I think, even including Yuji. I think it's the most interesting and compelling. I like that, like, out of nowhere, pretty much at the end of the season, like it's like the 4th or 5th to last episode, they're just like, hey, here's like this whole backstory on this person that you've seen every now and then.
Yeah.
Which was cool. That's why I like the battle royale style that the sister school, whatever they call it, that whole exchange event. That's why I like it, because they just keep throwing backstory at you, and I was like, okay, you're making me like care about these. It reminded me of like a battle royale. I was like, you're actually like trying to make me like worry about these children who could die. And I think hers was far and away the best. The fact that she like did this despite her family, and the effect that had on her sister was a super cool dynamic. The fact that she's just like naturally doesn't really have the same like gifts of just being able to see curses, being able to use technique, but she like makes up for it, and she's still on an equal playing field. And I think that's badass as fuck. Like, it's cool that they didn't make her weak, because they could have had her be like the weak character who trains hard and eventually gets like on everyone else's level, but they're just like, nah, she's a badass from the beginning.
Yeah, man. I love her. Cool. Yeah, those are all great characters.
Yeah. Did you have any characters you didn't like? Who was your like least favorite?
Especially on the first watch, probably Junpei. I'm a little more sympathetic this time now. Like, I'm like, okay, like this is a really sad story. But for me, it was just really slow. When I was watching it weekly, when I'm binge watching it, it's better because it passes by quicker. But that whole the whole arc with Yuji becoming friends with Junpei, it's called the Makito Arc because it's kind of where Makito, the villain, kind of experiences an awakening and experiences like, this is what I want out of life. I want to experience the greatest battles that I can possibly experience. I think that's cool that the villains are also like, they're children and they're learning how to live and how like, even though they're incredibly powerful and they're incredibly cruel and they're super duper evil, it's still relatable. Like they're still trying to, they're fighting for a way to experience life their own way. And so I love that Junpei's kind of both a catalyst for both Yuji and Mahito, but I don't think I wish he had a little more substance as a character on his own, and I wish we got to see like a little more extra of his training, of him like falling in love with his jellyfish Shikigami, and him kind of naming it for the first time. Like those would be like, I would love those scenes, that those would like really sell me on him. I do also love that, like the fake out, like, okay, you see him in the opening credits, and so you think that he's gonna, and then
he's gonna be this like big thing. Yeah, I do like that he raises the stakes for the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm with you. I wasn't like super compelled about it. Yeah, I was just kind of mediocre for me. And you kind of stole my answer. So I can't really. Of like the main trio entourage of the first year, Megumi is actually my least favorite. I'll do a hot take. And of like the main school, I'd probably say, who's the one who uses cursed speech? Who has like the little robot mouth? I don't remember his name.
Yeah, his name is Inumaki.
Yeah, I just thought he was like kind of the weakest. I mean, like when he tells Maui, useless Maui or whatever, to like sleep through the phone, like that was creative. Other than that, he has the most boring technique because they're all shouting what they do anyways. So like the fact that he's shouting what he does is just kind of redundant. I'm like, that's it? All you do is shout? Like everybody else is just blatantly saying the same shit. And so I just thought it was like, it's cool that it shows that that's also an option, but I'm just kind of out for him.
I feel it. That is a hot take because he's a fan favorite. I think he's a fan favorite mostly because of the scenes where he's not fighting and he's just talking in rice ingredients.
Yeah, that part's cool. I do like that.
Salmon.
Route.
It's like tuna salmon.
Yeah, like that part, that shtick is good, but Like when he's fighting, I'm like, you're the most boring one. Like people are literally like changing the temperature of their blood and shit, and you're just like, death. And then I'm just like, shut up, go away.
I feel it. Yeah. I actually, he's, even though a lot of people love him, of the second years in Tokyo, he's probably my least favorite.
Yeah, because all the other second years are pretty strong characters. Like you got Panda and Maki right there with him, and so it's just kind of whatever.
Yeah, and when you meet Okutsu, you're gonna love him. It's great. Cool. Yeah, we can talk a little bit about. I know we mentioned the blending of genre. Do you think the tonal shifts were well done between the action, the horror, the comedy, the fantasy, all that stuff?
Yeah, I think they blend it all together pretty well, because they establish like pretty hard starts, especially with the horror kind of segments. They establish like real hard starts. They're like, this is when that mood is going to happen, because they're like, oh, this place is cursed to shit and there's danger in here, and then they go in, you're like, okay, I need to be on edge. And I think having that like definite line and not really like crossing it, like in there they'll crack jokes, but it's not like super lighthearted. They're not doing the thing where they'll like change the anime style and have like some weird like lovey-dovey eyes in the middle of it. They keep it pretty straightforward, and I think that you need to do that because they throw a lot at you. It's not as like concrete genre bending as Cowboy Bebop was, but they're throwing borderline like sci-fi fantasy at the same time they're doing that horror. And so you need to like stick to one per scene for the most part. And I think they do a good job of that. And then the horror is always like, or not the horror, the humor, the comedy sections are always sprinkled in mostly lighthearted moments. And so I think they balance it well. It's well executed, I think.
Hell yeah. Yeah, and I think the reason they worked so hard at that is because this is, at the end of the day, a coming of age story. You know, we know that Yuji's kind of been a loner for most of his life, and even though people like him and people gravitate towards him and people are infected by his natural happiness, like he doesn't really find his people until he joins Jujutsu High. And I think I think that having that journey be like a climb up, like you kind of need that comedy aspect in there, because you know, you want every victory to feel like, you know, you're laughing and cheering at the same time, and you want like you want them to you want to be able to laugh at all the crazy concepts that they throw at you, especially like Toto's powers, or especially his behavior. But like when you think about like the way that his journey goes through the season, it's actually like really cool, like fulfilling and holistic approaches to these to becoming a man. You know, he learns like integrity and strength, and like being aware of your own body, and being aware of all the emotions in your head, and like he learns all of that from all three, Nanami, Toto, and Gojo. And so I really appreciate that all those genres kind of flow into the coming of age style storytelling.
Yeah, and I do like that they kind of lean into the coming of age part of it too, because it could easily not exist. Like it could just be all about like the morality of like him having to kill these things, or his struggle to like figure out this life that he just was thrust in because he was a hungry boy. And so it's cool that they like lean into it, and it makes the school a lot more compelling. Because it feels like Hogwarts. It just feels like that kind of thing where you're just kind of growing up with them, and we've all been to high school at least a little bit, most of us probably, and so it keeps it relatable. It keeps it humble, and it's just nice to see, and it adds so much more to the character interactions apart from just them fighting each other alongside each other.
Yeah. In addition to the coming of age theme, there's also the kind of Yuji learning Yuji and Megami kind of learning the value of life, and all that stuff. What did you think about that storyline and how it played out?
Yeah, I think it's the redeeming thing of the last arc that I've kind of been so on. The conversation afterwards where he's like, "Have you ever like killed someone before?" You're like this is heavy, and they really like kind of tee it up well with oh fuck, you even said it earlier, the patchwork antagonist with the
Makito.
Mojito. Like with his victims like writhing in pain and being like, "Fucking kill me, this is miserable," and like being aware of it. It really sets the stage up super well for not only that conversation, but the whole morality play dealing with like, should we be killing these things? Like, are they human? Is Yuji a human? Should we kill Yuji too? It's so it's set up super well, and it's the best part of that arc is the execution of that morality theme, and so I think it's overall pretty solid. I think it could have been put into play a little more earlier in the season, because they establish it episode 1 basically, where he's talking about like a real death or like a truthful death, and then like they kind of slowly forget about it, and then it just comes back in a huge way toward the end, which is fine. You got a lot going on in this show, so it makes sense not to do it, but I think it's one of the more compelling themes of the show, and so it would have been nice to see it kind of trickled throughout, but I still like how they handled it overall.
I also agree, and I think it's really interesting too that, you know, it's easy to forget, but Yuji's entire goal is to be executed. He is collecting the fingers of Sukuna, in order so that Gojo can kill him. But he's still like, knowing that he's inevitably going to die no matter what his choices are, he still chooses to be good. He still chooses to be really, really like to prioritize others before himself. Like, and I think that's really interesting, and it also really it's also just a nice buoy to have, especially in a world that's so heavy where so many people die in so many painful ways. It's really nice to have that kind of center of hope in the middle of it in Yuji, and so I really appreciate that. And it's gonna be it's pretty interesting going forward, especially. Let me see. There's also like the teachers themselves have their own storyline, and they have their own theme of like teaching the next generation. So what did you think of Nanami and Gojo's what did you think of their kind of separate teaching styles and the way that they interact with the students, and how does that factor into the story and all that stuff?
Yeah, I didn't really care. Like, I don't I wasn't super invested in the teaching. I mean, I was for Gojo more so, because it's cool to see like the direct mentorship that he has with Yuji, especially early in the season. But then past that, I was kind of just not super interested in their teaching, because when they're at the school, I'm kind of just focused on the interpersonal relationships with the main core group and every other side character, because there's a lot of side characters in this. And they give a lot of them background stories, and so I just kind of wrote it off and didn't really pay attention to their teaching styles, to be honest, which I think says something about that, because I would have been more interested in it had they, from the get-go, kind of made it more interesting. Gojo's like teaching style is super rogue and interesting. Like the one that jumps into mind is, I don't remember the curse's name, but the one with Mount Fuji on his head, just the volcano motherfucker.
That's Joko.
Joko, okay. Yeah, like when he's like, hold on a second, I need to make this a teaching moment. Like it's great, and I loved those because it ties in with the comic relief. It shows you how strong and confident he is. But besides those, I didn't really pay much attention to the specific teaching styles.
I feel it. And that's totally fair. There is a lot going on, especially in the battle between Yuji, Nanami, and Makito at the high school.
Yeah.
I just thought it was badass that he was lecturing him while fighting. Yeah. And I like Nanami generally. Like he's one of my favorite like side characters, not just because he's a drip god, but because I think his power is like cool too.
What do you think of his teaching style?
I definitely like I appreciate that it's like more straightforward than Gojo. Yeah, than Gojo. But yeah, I agree. It's not as like fun to watch because we don't get as much of it, I think. But also, like, I appreciate that we see his backstory and that we see kind of his journey to becoming a teacher, to actually caring about this kid that he doesn't give a shit about the world. There's a reason why he left the world of Jujutsu Tech. But I think what I love, I don't necessarily love his teaching style, but I love what the act of teaching does to him. Like I feel like he learns as much as Yuji in that arc as well.
Yeah, I think what kind of turned me off was he's supposed to be kind of annoying because he's supposed to annoy Yuji with like his constant like lecturing and stuff. And I think it also just kind of got to me. I was like, dude, just chill out. Like, just relax, man. And so I think I just wasn't too blown away by his character. His background story was interesting, and I think he was still like he wasn't one dimensional, which I liked, and he's still like a dynamic character, but I just wasn't super invested in his story.
That makes sense.
What did you think of the curses? Because there's a lot of them, and some of them are a lot more creative, and then some of them are just, I'm a strong boy, and that's just all they do. But what'd you think overall? Do you have like favorite curses? Was there anything that left a bad taste in your mouth?
I just love that they're all like different designs, like super different from each other. The one that like I was least impressed by was the one that Kugisaki kills in the first training. When she's when the one that takes the boy hostage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just kind of, it didn't look that good. It looked like a weird Grover mixed with a frog. But I also I love that they're animated in a kind of a chalkier style. Like I think it looks really, really amazing. I think the curse wombs, or the curse womb, and then the other it's a finger possessed thing in the last episode that Megumi faces. The ones with the multiple eyes, and then they smell.
Oh, okay.
Like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think-
do love the emphasis on the face of the curses. Like all of them are like super prominent, like giant smiles, like kind of clown like. I think that was a good move because it makes it all like human enough to be unsettling. It's like the Polar Express. It's human enough to be creepy.
Yeah, I like those curses just because in terms of design. But like another thing that I love is like a lot of them seem to have like, especially the non-intelligent ones, a lot of them have like just a mantra that they say as if they're like one of them just says laundry, as if that curse is tied to the negative emotions surrounding a laundromat or something like that. Like I don't know exactly what it is. I love that they don't elaborate on a lot of them, and so you kind of just have to wonder what could have possibly birthed what negative emotions could have birthed that curse. Overall I like them, and there were a couple that I didn't think the design was as good, like the fly head in the cage or the Grover looking one, but other than that they were great.
Yeah, I'm in pretty much agreement there. I do think they could have gotten a little more creative with the lesser curses. All the special grades are like interesting, kind of have their own unique thing going on.
Yeah.
But some of them are just like, I'm big, like good luck. And so I think they could have, because the way they set it up is there's an infinite number of possibilities. You like the way they treat the curse techniques. All of them are like super varied and interesting and have like cool workarounds and like strengths and weaknesses. And I think they could have translated that a little better in the curses. Not to like knock the majority of them, because the majority of them are good. But some of them were just kind of boring.
Yeah, I feel it. Did you have a favorite special grade curse?
The intelligent ones were cool. The one with kind of one of the main ones that we see a lot, and he shows up during the exchange event with like the tree branches coming out of his eyes that they face off with the clapping. Yeah. Probably that one. I think it's the one that we spend the most time with. And because it like learns and tries to adapt, I think it's like interesting, and it kind of is equal in the strategic side of things, which they establish real early on. They're like they're not just strong, like they're cunning as fuck. Like they'll try to like trick you with this, and I think he kind of exemplifies that the most. And so him even getting outsmarted is cool. And I just think it was one of my favorite fights, and so probably that.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. I think Mahito is the one like that we love to hate.
Yeah,
because he only gets worse, and I love him, or I love hating him. He's our Gus for this one, or our what's it called?
Todd.
Todd. I kept wanting to say Jesse Plemons, but I know it's not really Jesse Plemons.
Well, could be.
Could be. You never know.
I don't know his background.
Yeah, there's that, and but yeah, I also love that Hanami is like, kind of tied to like environmental stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's not, but it's not in like a really preachy way. It's not like, oh, all the humans are polluting my earth and I need to free my earth. We never get that monologue. It's just kind of like, this is like, I'm a nature thing, and like, this is my thing. Like, I'm going to kill you. And
he's like, the world would be better without humans, but also fuck you in particular. And I like that.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of putting it. You mentioned that being your favorite fight. Were there any other like runner-ups?
The fight with Volcano Head was pretty good too. Just because the badassery of like figuring out I don't remember the name of the technique, but that infinite space thing was super compelling. The first fight with Yuji and Gojo is super cool because you like see like, oh, like we thought he was strong, but it's not even like close. Like there's a long way to go for a lot of this, which is cool because starting out, like, you don't want him to start out super fearsome as our protagonist because he has to like be in danger, have like some fight to him. And so like having him learn, get his ass kicked, but also like come out the other end better was just super cool. And I think it set up all the other fights very well. And I think it would be a much worse show if that wasn't the first fight.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree that that Yuji and Todo versus Hanami is the best, but I also love Kugisaki versus the death paintings on at the bridge or after the bridge or on the freeway or something. I also really love Nanami and Yuji just putting a beat down on Mahito. I thought that was so satisfying. What was that? What else was the other one that I was thinking of? Oh yeah, Maki versus useless Miwa. I thought was so cool. And like she's like, stupid Mai. This isn't a grade 4 sorcerer. Like, I love it.
Yeah, that fight, I forgot about that one, but that's probably number 3 for me, honestly.
So good. Alrighty. Should we do favorite scenes or favorite episodes?
Ooh, maybe favorite episodes. Because, I mean, all my favorite scenes, not all of them, but a lot of them are those fights I just mentioned.
Yeah.
I think the best scare is when, who is it? Is it Junpei's mom who finds the finger and has that, like, dog with the hands coming out from hell behind her?
Yeah.
I think that's the best scare in the show, and so it's a great scene because of that.
It's a good one.
Yeah, a lot of the walking around haunted areas were pretty compelling too.
Hell yeah. I think my favorite scare was like with the curse wound being right behind them. And then that was like great. Oh, I thought that was great. And then you turn and see the demon dog's head just like torn off completely. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Favorite episodes. What were some of yours?
I gotta look at the list of episodes. Let's see. I will cut out the gap in a bit.
I can start us off a little bit. Already kind of obvious. The 3, I guess 3 or 4 episodes of the exchange school event were great. I loved all of them. You get so much backstory. You get badass fights. They actually give like a lot of weight and development to the characters. And I thought it's good because I think we were missing a lot of that background on some of the less shown characters throughout the show. So all of those easily at the top. Besides that, I do like a lot of the early episodes because I think that's when it was most fresh. A lot of those kind of stood out to me too because I don't know, the monster of the week type structure. It does get a little old, and they keep it fresh by having. We were talking a little before. There's like 5 different arcs in it, and so they keep it fresh by having those and kind of getting through those so you feel some sort of progress in the show, but not having a ton of like overarching story throughout the whole thing. Obviously there is, and it's a lot of that's in the coming of age story and like Yuji's growth and his battle with his inner demon. But I think that the early episodes were the freshest and the newest, and so I tended to gravitate toward those.
Yeah, man. Okay, cool. I found it. So I think episode 5, Cursed Womb Must Die 2, when Megumi has to face Sukuna in like full power, and Yuji can't stop it, and then Yuji sacrifices himself. I thought that was all very emotional, very cool.
Even part 1 of that was fucking fantastic too.
Oh yeah, and that's the one where you see the first domain too, which is insane. I love it. I love Sukuna's domain. I love the Black Flash, episode 19, when Yuji first does it. I think it's just so satisfying. The sound effect for it is so cool too.
Yeah, although with that, I didn't like the interview where it's like, he has the world record for most black flashes. I'm like, just say it's hard, or like show it's hard. It's a weird like change of pace.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I love the baseball episode. I think it's so funny.
The Mechamaru being a pitching machine was the greatest. That alone makes it a fantastic episode.
Yeah. One of my favorite body horror moments is actually in episode 22, The Origin of Blind Obedience, when he converts the first like death painting baby into like a guy into that one and forces him to swallow it. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
I loved it.
True.
And then I'm trying to find, I don't remember. I think, it's 8 Boredom, which is when Megumi first meets Toto, and he's like crying. He's like, I knew it. You're boring. I thought that was excellent. And you get a nice like teaser of everyone's powers, which is cool. Yeah. Those are my go-tos.
Yeah. Overall, I liked the show. I was surprisingly entertained. I do also like how modern it is. Like, it doesn't feel like it's trying to be of a different time. Like, they got anime Lord of the Rings in here, and that's hilarious. And like the Jennifer Lawrence comments, a lot of it's not going to age well. Like in 10 years, like the Lord of the Rings still will, but like the affinity for Jennifer Lawrence, I don't think is going to hold up. And so it's very much of its time, but it's a welcome one because they lean into the style a lot. And I think it's effective, and it's probably part of the reason it got so popular is because it feels fresh. It feels like they are aware of the current like world that they're showing the series in.
Yeah, I agree. And like it's cool too. Like you like in a lot of fantasy, you're like, oh, if they had smartphones, it would all be better. And they're just like, nope, we're just gonna we're gonna give them all smartphones, and it's not gonna help.
No.
Yeah, I love that about it. Well, cool. I'm glad you didn't hate it.
Me too. There were some moments where I was like, all right, I get it. We gotta go to this place. There's gonna be a haunted thing. Big bad curse is gonna seem impossible, and then we're gonna do it. I'm like, okay, like I'm kind of going through the motions. But then they throw fresh shit enough at me to keep it unique and interesting.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. It's just going to get crazier. And I'm very excited for the anime.
I'm excited too. I'm also excited because you mentioning the like trying to stop Gojo part of the next season or like the next installments of the manga. I thought for sure he was going to die soon because he's got like every red flag on him that he's about to just get fucking murdered, which he might, but you were kind of hinting that maybe not. So at least there's going to be a struggle and he's not going to just get like assassinated in the night.
We will see. We will see.
Will.
But in the meantime, you guys can follow us to see more Jaredcast episodes on any of your favorite social medias, mostly Instagram. And yeah, you can watch Jujutsu Kaisen on Crunchyroll, on Funimation. I don't know if it's on Hulu or not, but it's definitely on HBO Max.
Yeah, that's where I watched it.
Yeah, that's where I watched it too, because Crunchyroll's been wonky lately. But yeah, it's great quality on HBO Max, so I highly recommend it there. And yeah, thank you for listening. We love you. Anything else you want to say to the people?
Salmon.
Salmon. Goodbye.